Hey everyone, welcome back to My Life in a Flurry. My name is Brenda Kay and I'm so glad that you are here and joining me today. This is a different view. I wanted to do, so I'm a little bit of a overachiever and often bite off more than I can chew, but we're gonna go with it and see what happens. So thinking ahead to the new year, and I was thinking about my journals, and that was actually going to be the next video I was going to film. But I want to do a reading journal, and then I started thinking about what am I going to read, because I used to be an avid reader, read all the time, constantly had a book in my hand, and I've fallen off of that. Just being a mom and working and surviving, I have forgotten to read. So I've been looking at different ideas and watching videos on, people book talk and book YouTube and just getting some ideas. And I really like the idea of a 52 book plan for the new year. So I'm a little insane. I know that's a book a week, but in my defense, a couple of my books are going to be year-long reads. So really I only have 50 books to read. Some of them are very small. I know I can read them in, a day or two. Some of them are very big and they're going to take me a lot longer. So I think it'll balance out. I have a wide range of topics that I want to read on. I am a very eclectic person. I have a lot of interests, a lot of things. And I was trying to figure out how to film this video, and my bookshelf is in my living room, and I really didn't want to haul. It's bad enough that I have pulled these books from my bookshelf, my very carefully organized bookshelf, and I didn't want to haul all of these books to my office to sit at my desk and then have to haul them all back and put them back on my shelf once I write down everything that I'm reading, which is also the reason for this video, because I'm not going to sit here and write all these down right now. So I thought, what better place to film this video than cozied up on my couch in my living room. The lighting is fantastic, and I've got a nice cozy blanket here. I actually crocheted this many years ago. It's my Christmas blanket, and I'm gonna get joined by my cat because she likes this blanket too. So this is Bluebell making her YouTube debut. Are you gonna settle in? Okay. Comfy? Okay. Yes, she is a Siamese, and yes, she talks constantly. So yeah, I thought this would be a good and fun way to do this, and something a little different than sitting at my desk, So we have a very loud purring cat and a giant stack of books just off camera here that you can't see, and a snoring dog over there. So, it's perfect. Like, this is how my reading conditions would be. The only thing missing is a hot cup of tea and a candle, but that's okay. I didn't make that before I sat down. I forgot to. So yeah, we're gonna dive in, and we're gonna start with the couple of books that are going to be my year-long reads. And these were the easiest ones for me to choose. So up first, I have a couple books on Kindle, and a couple of the books I'm going to be reading through the year are also on my Kindle. So that way, if I am on that book and I'm out, I can have it on my Kindle. I also have the Kindle app on my phone. So all of that is, yeah. And this is a really old Kindle Fire. I think it's a 7. Eventually I would like to upgrade to a new one, but that's not in the works right now. So up first is is the book Simple Abundance. Oops. Okay. So the first book, you guys can read that if it's not too bright in here, is the book Simple Abundance by Sarah Van Brethnock. I have read this book through, or not all the way through, but I have attempted this book several times. I love this book. I love her writing. This is the updated one that she released for the 25th anniversary, I think. I had originally bought it at Goodwill for like $1 many, many, many years ago, probably 10 years ago. So when she released her 25th anniversary version on Kindle, I had to have it. I do still want to get it because I have a bunch of her other writings. I don't think I'm reading any of her other books this year because I want to get through this all the way. And this starts on January 1st. So, yeah, that's the first book. So that's one of my year-long books that I'm going to be reading. I have another book on there that I want to read, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then the other thing I'm going to be reading, I counted this as one, even though technically it's 2 books. So it is the Bible and the Catechism. Now, I am Catholic. I have a Catholic background. I'm not currently practicing, but I have a very strong Christian upbringing, and I always have wanted to read the Bible through in a year, and I never have. And there is a reading plan for reading both the Catechism and the Bible. I am a constant learner. I love to read and study religions, and I figured this would be a good year to read the Bible. So this is my Catholic Women's Bible. I need to wipe it off. It's got something on it. I honestly have not picked up my Bible in a long time. Not for any particular reason, I just haven't. But I like that this one has different little, like, devotions and things already in it. So that is my other year-long read. So my plan is, I'll read a little bit, whatever the reading plan is for the day, in each of these books. And then we're going to go in order of how I picked them. Yeah, we're going to go in order of how I picked them. And my main criteria is, with the exception of a couple books, are things that I have not read. I have a huge collection of books that I have not read. A lot of them could be considered reference books because I have a lot of books on healing and diet and nutrition and things like that from when I was studying massage therapy. But yeah, so anyway, I don't want to ramble too long because this video is already going to be very long. I don't plan on cutting anything out, so it's going to be very long. Up first thing I grabbed, which was pretty much a no-brainer, is my Anne of Green Gables set. I found these at Goodwill. Most of my books, actually, I found at Goodwill. Some of them I bought online. I love Anne of Green Gables. I love the movie since I was a kid. I actually have never read the books. But I'd always wanted the books. And I found these and I grabbed them. So I want to read both. So technically, even though it's 2 books, there's 6 volumes between the 2 books. So I'm counting them as, each volume as a book. So that's 7 books taken care of right there. And I didn't want, I should probably move these pillows off the side so I can stack my books back up over here. I didn't want all of my books to be fiction. I love reading nonfiction books and books about spirituality and things like that, self-help books, those kinds of things. Up next is Your Erroneous Zones by Dr. Wayne Dyer. His first, bestseller, I think maybe his first book. Look how young he is. I love Wayne Dyer's teachings, his talks, and I very much resonate with his approach to life and to spirituality, and faith. So I have had this book for a long time. I have always wanted to read it. I actually have not read all the way through any of his writings. So that's on my list. And what order I read these in, I'm not entirely sure yet. I may just throw them in a hat and pull one out and go with it. In fact, we may do that. I think I'm going to do that. And then up next is my other favorite author. And I grabbed all of these. Thich Nhat Hanh was a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. Vietnamese? Now that I say that, I want to say it might be wrong. But anyway, he's a Buddhist monk, and love his writings. The first book I ever read of his was Living Buddha, Living Christ. And he has a very unique viewpoint on the intersection between Buddhism and Christianity, the teachings of Buddha and the teachings of Christ. And it is very interesting, very much into mindfulness and being in the moment, which is something that I have to work on because my brain moves way too fast and is 7 steps ahead of where I actually should be. So I want to read through all of his books. I have read this one all the way through. He has a couple books on Christ and Buddha. I've read part of this one. I have not read all of these all the way through. And I have not read this one yet. So kind of a mixture, but I knew for the new year, this is my year of growth, I think is what I'm going to go for. Like my focus for the year. So I don't know. Anyway, these are the next things I knew for sure I wanted to read. It was really easy to pick books at first. It got harder as I went on and was running out of books to room on my book list. Up next is Women Who Run with the Wolves. This copy's a little worn. I have not read this all the way through. That's about as far as I got. It is a lot of reading. It is kind of intense emotionally, but it is a very good book. So that is up next on my reading list. This one came very highly recommended. It always popped up when I was in school, massage therapy school, and it was like on my bucket list to read. So I have this one on my Kindle as well, so I can read it whenever. Then I grabbed so I kind of went back and forth. Like I'd grab a nonfiction, then I'd go grab a corresponding fiction book. So there's 6 books in the Anne of Green Gables book series. So when I grabbed 6, Erroneous Zones I just grabbed, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I kind of did that. Anyway, Jane Austen. I have all 7 novels in one Barnes & Noble book bound. I actually bought this at Half Price Books. But I have read Pride and Prejudice many times. And I have read Emma, but I have not read the rest, even though I call myself a huge Jane Austen fan. I love the Jane Austen book adaptation movies done by the BBC. I don't like the Americanized ones. I love the ones done by the BBC. My favorite Pride and Prejudice is the 1995 version, 90s with Colin Firth. That's my favorite. I watch that thing whenever I need something to watch that's just like, I just want good things. That's the one I watch. So anyway, 7 books in here, Jane Austen on the list. Then I had to go grab the one remaining Thich Nhat Hanh book that I didn't grab out of my library. So that is Creating True Peace. I guess I could show you the covers of the other Thich Nhat Hanh books. So I have How to Sit and How to Love. Going Home, Jesus and Buddha as Brothers. You Are Here, Discovering the Magic of the Present Moment. Living Buddha, Living Christ, which is a fantastic book. And The Miracle of Mindfulness. So those are the other Thich Nhat Hanh covers. I should probably show all the covers. And then I thought I should grab some things from my healing library. So I grabbed the Hearth Witch's Kitchen Herbal. I came across, there's a whole series of books with this kind of cover. When I was searching for kitchen herbal medicine, instead of relying on things that, I can't always grow. I live in the desert. I can't always grow some of these herbs, or their time frame is very specific, or they're hard to grow here. So I'd have to order them, and I'm thinking, some of them can be kind of expensive, even though I'm totally for spending the money on your health. I wanted something that, medicine I could make in my kitchen, or remedies I could make in my kitchen with easy to obtain things from the grocery store. And I found this book, which is absolutely amazing. It goes through each common kitchen herb, so basil, black pepper, caraway, cardamom, cayenne, cinnamon. Like, it has a whole bunch of basic kitchen herbs, and then there is another, like, not obscure herbs, but things that you may not have so much in your kitchen or you don't think of in the back. But it takes each one, it goes through the spiritual emotional applications as well as the physical applications and the beauty applications for each one. So I have this on Kindle and I have it in hardcover. I had to have it. So I want to read through it. I've like referenced it here and there. But I actually want to read through it and highlight and mark things because that is, yes. The next book on my list is The House Witch, Your Complete Guide to Creating a Magical Space with Rituals and Spells for Hearth and Home. Now, before anybody goes crazy about, I don't know if anybody will, about books with the word witch on them, I'm not talking about sitting in the dark with candles and a salt circle and spells and incantations, or, you know, drawing the communion of the dead, or anything else that is Hollywood version of witch. The reality is, if you do anything with oils and herbs and nutrition and like taking care of your own body and your family and your space with intention and care and creativity, you could have been burned at the stake as a witch. So yeah, it's just, I'm like, what? I don't understand the stigma around it. Like, I grew up with the stigma around it, but I don't understand the stigma around it because these things in connection with my faith have kept me alive my entire life. So, Western medicine wrote me off for dead at some point in my life. And when I was young, and a naturopathic doctor took us on, and all of these things, herbs and oils and positive thinking, and I've been doing it since before it was cool to do. So, and people considered him a quack and a witch doctor, but you know what? He kept me and my sister alive, and we grew to adulthood, and I went on to have 4 beautiful children. So yeah, that's my little rant on, before anybody gets weird about the word witch on any of my books. This book I found also in my search when I came up with this book. Suddenly the algorithms were like, ooh, let's throw all the witchy things at her. This one is about caring for your home with intention, treating your home as a sacred space, which I think we should all do. We should all treat our home as our sacred space. It is our escape from the world, whether you live in a mansion or a one-room shack, or like me, in a very old and quirky basic house that needs a lot of love and attention. I think we should all treat our homes as sacred. And this book just kind of brings that to the forefront, and how to use your cooking and your decorating and your cleaning with intention to create the type of space that you want to live in. So that is that one, and I'm very excited to read it. The next one that I chose is Women's Power to Heal Through Inner Medicine by Maya Tiwari. This is an Ayurveda book. I love Ayurveda with a passion. I wish I was more knowledgeable in it. I have enough books to make you think I have a doctorate in it. But this book specifically deals with women's issues and how to balance your reproductive system and your energy as a woman, and just how to care for yourself. So that's why I chose it. I have read this book. This is one of the ones that I have actually read all the way through, and I have some things highlighted, but it's been a while, and I want to refresh myself. I have fallen out of practice with some of these things. Very much like self-care, women's self-care. So that is on the list. And then in the vein of that, Eastern Body, Western Mind. I know this is not a light book. This is going to be a deep book. But it's one I have always wanted to read. A lot of these books are not going to be light books. I'm going to be doing a lot of growing this year, I guess. So, yeah, it is exactly what it says. Eastern Body, Western Mind. It's a mixture of psychology and the chakra system, and how they work together, which I very much think they are one and the same. There is evidence to support that the areas of the chakras the areas that the chakras affect connect with nerve centers in the body. So it's not all like weird. It's practical. Just these people understood these things before we had the science to back it up. So this kind of blends the two. So yeah, read that. And then I had to grab another Wayne Dyer. There's a spiritual solution to every problem, which is another one that I've had that I want to read. I have one other one on my bookshelf, Wayne Dyer. I didn't grab it. It might be an alternate if I somehow get through, I run out of books to read. I can always grab more books. Like, I know that. I can always grab more books. Or if I find a book really just doesn't work, then I can discard it and trade it out for something else. So that's always thing. But spiritual solution to every problem. I believe that anything that is going on in our life has a spiritual, energetic root. So there we go. And then a classic that I have read many, many times, and I am totally reading again, is The Four Agreements. It's been a few years since I've read it. It's very simple. I love it. It's a great tool and platform for living. And then I grabbed another very in-depth technical book, The Complete Book of Essential Oils and Aromatherapy. I have had a version of this book for probably, let's see, how old am I? 20. Let's not go quite as far as 20 years. Let's go 15 years, maybe, somewhere around there. A long time. This is the most updated. This is the 25th anniversary edition. It is not a light read. This is a technical book. This is a textbook. I have not read it all the way through. I want to read it all the way through. The main focus of my training when I was in massage therapy school was not massage therapy. That is not really why I went to school. It was aromatherapy. That's what got me into that school. Oh geez, I'm gonna run out of room on I'm gonna run out of battery. Anyway, we're moving on, and we'll go as far as we can, and then I'm gonna have to plug in my camera and. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can get it plugged in before it dies. Okay, we are back. It wasn't my battery, it was my memory card that was running out of space because I film a lot and I haven't edited anything. So yeah, that's what that was. Let's get this a little more adjusted here. Again, I think we're in a good place now. But it did give me an opportunity. Unfortunately, I upset my cat and made her have to move. It did give me an opportunity to go make some tea. So this is a tea. Oh, there she is. Come on. Settle in. Where are you going? You want to come over here? This is the side that you like. Or are we doing right in the middle? I don't care. Just get comfy. Okay, so anyway, this tea my mom brought me back from when she visited my sister in North Carolina, and it's supposed to be like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Sweet potato pie. It's really good. I put a little cream in it and a little bit of sugar-free caramel syrup, and it is so good. And this is the mug I made. I would tilt it to show you guys, but it's got liquid, and that would not be a good idea. So yeah, it's one of my favorite cups I have ever made. I thought about selling it, but I don't know if I could part with it. Because it's like the perfect cup. I like things that you can like wrap your hand around and soak up the warmth this time of year. Anyway, back to the books. Up next is a book called The Resilience Factor, 7 Keys to Finding Your Inner Strength and Overcoming Life's Hurdles. I feel I'm pretty resilient, but, you know, I've had this book for, what's this? Oh, I returned a book at the bookstore when I was in school in 2014. I have never read this book. So I figured, I might as well read it, and then, you know, if it doesn't resonate with me, I'll just pass it on after that, but at least I will have read it. So, some of my books are like that. They're just books that I'm like, I might as well read them because they're in my library. Up next is How to Survive Mercury Retrograde, and Venus and Mars, too. So, I like this view of, I've read the Mercury part, I haven't read the rest of it, but I like the view that this book has. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, Mercury Retrograde, blah, blah. This has a very positive outlook on how to flip that script and make retrograde work for you. So, yeah, it's one I definitely want to read through fully. And then I have Constant Craving by Doreen Virtue. I do like Doreen Virtue's writings. I think this is actually the only book I have of her. But, yeah, this is What Your Food Cravings Mean and How to Overcome Them. I love food. I have food cravings. I try to eat very healthy, but sometimes it just gets in there and you just gotta have the thing. But I think it'd be interesting to see what those cravings might mean emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So there's that. Then I have a couple books on yoga, but not the physical yoga, because like hatha yoga, people think of the actual physicality of yoga. These are on actual yoga. Yoga started as a mental, emotional, spiritual practice. So this is not a yoga, meditation on the inner sacred sound. So it's a book about meditation. So there's that one. Some of these may also become like long-term books that I, you know, like read a chapter and then I, you know, let it sit for a week. I have to figure them out that way. Then I grabbed the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Never read through the sutras before. So like I've studied some of them through the course of my schooling, but I never like sat and read through them for myself. So there is that. And then this is a very good book that I recommend everybody read. It's not a difficult read. I think I read this in a day, less than a day, a few hours. But The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But very good. Very good narrative, teaching narrative. Very good book. Life-changing on how I view myself and the world, and yeah, very good book. It's been many years since I've read it, so I wanted to reread it this year. And then another classic literary thing, because I love classic literature, The Ides of March. I've never read it. I've had the book. I've slowly been building a classic library. So like The Ides of March, and I have the Odyssey, and some other classic books. Uncle Tom's Cabin, Robinson Crusoe, Catcher in the Rye, those kinds of things. And some of them I have never read, but I have them because I like books and I like classic literature. I have read Wuthering Heights. I have read Mark Twain, a lot of Mark Twain. But anyway, I thought I would grab The Ides of March. It just popped out to me. So, and when I buy these books, I like to try and find hardcover editions. I want my entire classic library to be hardcover editions. So there's that. And then I moved into a modern classic book series that I have never read. Highly popular. I've just never read it. And that is the Hunger Games trilogy. So, and bought it hardcover, took the covers off of it. I just like the look of hardcover books with the printing on them, especially if it's in metallic tones. So, 3 books in one, so yeah, Hunger Games. Been on my list for a long time to read. The next book's modern classic book series I am looking into finding is the Harry Potter series. Watched all the movies, love all the movies, have all the movies, never read the books. I think I still have the movies. Never read the books. So, yeah. Then I went back over to my medical library, my healing library to say, and I grabbed Healing the New Childhood Epidemics, Autism, ADHD, Asthma, and Allergies. I bought this book when my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD, and I never read it. So I just thought it would be an interesting read. I don't know, like the dust cover seemed interesting, and he proposits that nutritional deficiencies, toxins, metabolic imbalances, genetic vulnerabilities, and immune system and gastrointestinal systems are at the core of these 4 disorders. Not disorders, these 4 things. My daughter is ADHD. Going through her testing. I haven't been officially diagnosed, but oh my gosh, I went to my mom and I was like, what the heck? And she's like, yeah. It wasn't a thing when I was like you didn't get diagnosed, especially as a girl when I was a kid. I have asthma. I've had asthma since time immemorial. All of my children suffer with various forms of allergies. I have various forms of allergies that trigger my asthma. So yeah, I don't know why I never read it. Probably just life. It was a very difficult time in my life when I bought this book. So I figured now is as good a time as any to read it. And then up next is The Path of Practice, a woman's book of Ayurvedic healing. So this is also by Maya Tiwari. I'm not sure in what order these books happened. I have read quite a bit of this, but in the interest of like dialing in on my own physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health, I want to read through this one. This is a little bit more on the spiritual side, whereas the other one is a little bit more on the physical side. So I figured putting the 2 together would be good for me. I just found out from my boyfriend I have to go buy 2 $50 white elephant gifts, or we have to buy 2 $50 white elephant gifts. I have to find them, and yeah, so that'll be fun today. Yay, project. Anyway, yeah, so this goes hand in hand with the other one. This is like the spiritual side to the physical side of the other book. And then 2 books by the same author up next. The Made from Scratch Life and Handmade from Melissa K. Norris. She is a homesteader. Her family has been homesteading for generations, and she's got a YouTube channel and a podcast, and I believe a blog. Yeah, she's got a blog. I love her approach. I haven't been as big into focusing on my homesteading practices as I used to be, but I want to get back to that, so I like her approach. So this one is simple ways to create a natural home. So all sorts of like what to do. That's kind of an overview of like just home cooking and home stuff. And then this one is very similar, but I think it's a little more in depth. I'm not sure. I bought both of them. I have not read both of them all the way through. I have also her family garden plan, but I figured this would be good to start with. It actually is gardening season for the desert Southwest, but I'm not worried about that right now. I need to, but it's not. I have to get the garden space prepped. Then I wanted to read Pottery and the Technique of Throwing by John Colbeck. I am a potter. Yeah, hello, Exhibit A. I made this mug. So, and I haven't been able to touch my wheel in a while. It's kind of the theme of my life. So I want to dive deeper. I really am looking into maybe setting up my own studio. I have a local resource where I can go fire. I can rent a kiln and fire my pieces. I do have my own pottery wheel. And this one is a textbook on throwing, which I love the process of throwing. And yeah, I know how to do all these things, but this is just, I need to get back into the process of throwing because I haven't touched it in a while. And it definitely is one of those use it or lose it things. I know I'll get back into it pretty quickly, but these are just some good practices, things to practice while I'm, get back into the process. And then I also have the Potter Studio Handbook, which I may throw in conjunction with this, and that is repetition projects. So taking the techniques from here. They're not written by the same person. I can't remember who wrote the Potter Studio Handbook. I don't have it right with me. But it has so we're going to make utensil caddies. You're going to cut 3 pounds, 10 pieces, 30 pounds of clay. You're going to cut 3-pound pieces of clay, and we're going to throw 10 of these. That kind of thing to get the muscle memory and the repetition. Then the other thing I want to do, we're getting down to the end of the last 3 books. No peeking. The Artist's Way. I have the book and the workbook. I bought the book on Amazon when I first heard about it. I have the 25th anniversary edition of 3 of the books I'm reading this year. I started this and then I didn't get all the way into it. This is one that's also going to be a long-term book. I'll have other things in conjunction with this book because it is a whatchamacallit. They're weekly practices. So there's 12 weekly practices. I may stretch it out over the year. But then the workbook, I have first read through this on not Kindle, on what's the one? Audible. And then I bought the book. So I want to work through this because I am an artist. I do suffer with analysis paralysis and being true to myself and true to my art and focusing on that and imposter syndrome, all those things that artists deal with. Yeah, I definitely have it. So this book is not the way out of that, but I figured this might help me work through some of those things. Because it says right here from Elizabeth Gilbert, the Artist's Way brings much insight, gently helping you see what is holding you back and showing you how to move forward, which is exactly what I need. A course in discovering and recovering your creative self. So, and then the workbook has 110 Artist's Way tasks, 50 Artist's Way check-ins, new and original writings on morning pages, journaling, and the artist's date. So that's why I'm thinking I may take this into a year because, or just as it goes, I'll take, because each chapter has, so week 6, and then there's a task for each one. So that's how I will probably stretch it out. But yeah, so that is that one. And then I grabbed, on those same lines, Craft a Life You Love by Amy Tangerine. She is definitely, or has in the past, been an inspiration as far as creativity and owning and running a creative business and turning it into a creative empire. And I love this book. It's just so pretty. But again, another workbook. So this one I may work through, it may take me a little bit to work through. I have an alternate also in case, I need it. I do have alternates for some of these, like to further if I find that, because I do have quite a few things that are like long-term workbook kind of things. But and then I got down to the end and I'm like, I need one more book. No, sorry, I have another book on my Kindle. I was getting down to the end and I'm like, I need another creativity book, something that I've been wanting to dive into that I haven't, and I just on a whim grabbed this one, The Art of Manipulating Fabric. I love to sew. I have always wanted to sew, like I love to make my own clothes, and I have books on tailoring. I have the Vogue sewing book on, couture. I have books on couture sewing. But this one is specifically on how to do all these fun little decorative touches, ruffles and pleats and tucks and all those decorative flounces, and there's pleats and how to manipulate pleats and all that fun stuff. Smocking. I don't know how much I'll put some of this into practical application, but I want to learn how to do it, if that makes sense. So and I love doing handwork, and a lot of this involves handwork. You can do some of it with a sewing machine, but it involves a lot of handwork. And I just want to learn it. So this will be a year-long practice. I am not anticipating that this will be something that I'm going to just like go through. So one more book. I have one more book on my Kindle. Where did my Kindle go? I have actually started this book several years ago. And it is Discover Your Dharma by Sahara Rose. She is a modern Ayurvedic author, podcaster, and I don't remember how I came across her at all. I think it was on Instagram. And I have a couple of her books. In fact, I think I own all of her books. I've listened to her podcast. I think she's just a very beautiful spiritual mind, Ayurvedic mind. She brings it very modern. So Discover Your Dharma is about finding your purpose from the aspect of Ayurveda. And that's the other book I'm going to read. What I'm probably going to do is, off camera, I'm going to write down all the books on slips of paper. I'll grab a little decorative bowl, probably one that I've made that can sit on my desk, and I will pull a book from the jar as I need to. So that will help me read them in some sort of order without having to figure out the order. The only books I will definitely read in order are the Anne of Green Gables books, because they do go in chronological order. I can't skip those and jump those around and read them out of order. They need to be read in order. So, but for a bit, I may read one of those and then draw another book, and then read one of those and draw another book. And there's very possibility that I may be reading multiple books at the same time, not including the Bible and the Simple Abundance book, because sometimes I feel like reading literature and sometimes I feel like reading instructional, but that's just the way I am. So we'll see how this year goes. I wanted to do this video first because this very much influences the way I am going to be journaling this year. So I wanted to do this video and show my books and my idea for that before we talk about my journals. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you did and you want to continue on this book journey with me, because I'm going to be sharing things with you, then definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Give a thumbs up on this video so I know that you like this content, and I will talk to you in my next one.